Children join so late. It is already, we have just 40-45 minutes gap. दीपेश, युक्ति, जिन्होंने क्लास रखाई है वो ज्वाइन नहीं करते हैं जल्दी से, बाकी बच्चे आ जाते हैं. How are you, Dipesh? How is school going on, classes? All okay, all okay. Today these 9th class people had told me to do this poem. On their request, I have taken a recess here and they have not joined. You are here. Everybody is having lunch. All right, I think I should start now because then they can see it later. Hello Sahana, hi. All right, so I'm starting with this poem that is on request of class 9 students. All right, this is a Legend of the Northland. It is by Woodpecker. You all have done it before. Yukti is also here. Yukti, this is a very nice poem where we learn moral values. All right, we get to see that what is sacrifice, what is a life that is sufficient for a person, and all about sacrifice, love, compassion for the world, which actually the world needs. All right, this is a poem in the form of a ballet. All right, what is a ballet? A ballet is a poem written in short paragraphs. In this poem, we have 16 paragraphs and it has a story to tell. All right, so this is, the whole thing is a story actually, and it is in the form of a poem, so it is a ballet. What is a ballet? Ballet is a poem that is in the form of a story. It can also be sung. There are people who sing such poems. All right, so this is, we have 16 paragraphs over here. It just has a story running here. We come to know about Saint Peter here. Who is Saint Peter? He was of Jesus Christ, and he used to go around the world preaching Christianity, preaching about all the moral values that a person should have. All right, and we'll see when he goes around, he is in Northland. Where is Northland? It is there in the poem. Northland, there is no specific name over here, but the Northland is the area that is very near to North Pole. All right, and it is very cold there, very icy over there. Whole year, it's sunny and it's snowy and it's very cold. And here, Saint Peter is preaching and going round and round. He gets very tired the whole day. He is hungry and he reaches a cottage where he can see a lady making and baking cakes on the fireplace. So we'll see what happens and what is the role of the lady here. This poem narrates the legend. What is legend? An old historical story, all right? Narrates the legend of an old lady who angered Saint Peter. She did something because of which Saint Peter became angry because of her greed. All right? And what is Christianity? And in fact, all the religions, what are they about? And then what are they about? It is about charity. All the religions, here it is talking about Christianity. Otherwise, all religions, they talk about helping each other. They talk about doing charity, about hope, about faith in God. Every religion has got the same thing to teach. So here, this lady does something which angers Saint Peter, and let us see what happens. Away, away in the Northland, where the hours of the day are few, and the nights are so long in winter that they cannot sleep them through. Yes, in fact, Ananya, all religions come out and teach actually the same thing. Only the way is a slightly different, but otherwise all the religions have got the same thinking, they teach the same thing. Yes, so here in the poem we come to know away, away in the Northland. Northland is the area that is near North Pole. It's very cold there. Now, though no place is mentioned here, so the places that are near North Pole are Greenland, there is Russia over there, so many other places, right? So here no specific name has been mentioned. Away, away, why does the poet say away, away twice? Because he is using the twice repetition. Why is repetition used? To specify, to stress on a point, and here the poet actually wants to tell us that it is very far away. Away, away, all right, very far away, where the hours of the day are few, because the daytime is very less. It's so cold over there that the sunlight comes for very few hours. So daytime is, the days are short, and the nights are so long, it becomes dark quickly, and it is long, that the people who stay in Northland cannot sleep them through. They cannot sleep the whole night. You know, if around 18 hours, if it's all dark, you can't sleep together for 18 hours, right? You have to get up and come out of your houses, even if it is snowing, or you have to stay in the house, but you are up, right? So they can't sleep the whole night. Where, second paragraph, I do the rhyming, the poetic devices at the end, where they harness the swift reindeer to the sledges when it snows, and the children look like bear cubs in their funny furry clothes. So what does the poet say? The poet again specifies more about Northland, telling more about Northland. He says that it is that place where the reindeers, reindeers, they can run and walk on ice and snow. Like if you and me, we go, then, our feet, they go inside, and it becomes very difficult to walk in snow. We have to have those boots and special kind of those, the shoes that are used for walking on snow. In fact, when you go to a snowy area, you have to borrow for 3-4 days that you are staying there, the shoes, right? Ritu. So he says that they harness the swift reindeer to what? To sledges. What are sledges? Sledges are tied to the reindeers, all right, and people sit on them and they move on them, right? So they sit on the reindeers and they move on. The sledges are tied to the reindeer and the reindeers, and people sit on the sledges and they move, because it becomes difficult for people to walk. Yes. So here he says, I'm talking about, the story is about a place which is away, away in the Northland, and where people tie the reindeer to the sledges, people sit on them, and the children look like bear cubs in their funny furry clothes, because it is so cold, it is full of ice and snow. The parents make children wear furry clothes, furry jackets and clothes are, which they can keep the children warm with. So they look like small teddy bears. Alright, Northland is a place which is near North Pole. Now in this poem, specific name have been given. So the areas near North Pole, it can be Russia, it can be Greenland, like there are many places. Right? Yes, they wear those thick, furry clothes, and these small children who wear these colorful clothes, which is full of this fur. Yes, even Canada. The children look like bear cubs, the children of the bear. They tell them a curious story. Who they again? They is the parents. The parents tell very curious, a unique type of a story to their own children, I don't believe it's true. Now, the poet herself says, I don't know whether it is true or not, and yet you may learn a lesson if I tell a tale to you. But the poet says, but anyways, I don't know whether this actually happened or not, but this story has got a lesson to teach, and it will be very nice if you and me will learn this lesson. So she has written this story down to teach us a lesson. Once, when the good Saint Peter lived in the world below. Listen, once, so she starts the story once, that is at that time when Saint Peter lived in the world below, when Saint Peter was alive. And walked about it preaching just as he did, And what did Saint Peter do? He was a disciple of Jesus Christ, Lord Jesus, and he used to go about different places. At that time he used to go about to different places preaching about Christianity. What are the main values of Christianity and in fact all the other religions? Hope, keep hope, everything will be okay. If today days are bad, good days are just going to come. Number 2, faith. Have faith. Blind faith in God, unwavering faith in God, because everything is going to be fine. Third is charity. Help everyone, love everyone, compassion for everyone, care for everyone. Alright, so if you care for someone, you will definitely do charity. Alright, yes. So Saint Peter used to go around preaching. He came to the door. Now what happened one day? He came to the door of a cottage and traveling around the earth. He was going around here to different places and he reached a cottage where a little woman was making cakes and baking them on hearth. What is hearth? Hearth is fireplace. Alright, the place that she was baking on. Now we have got our ovens, we have got our microwaves. There are people who make on pressure cookers. They bake the cake. Everybody's got a different way. Now this lady was baking them on the fireplace. She must be also having some way of making some utensil. Now this Saint Peter, when he reached her door, he saw this lady was making many cakes. She was making out of what? Out of the dough. What is dough? The batter that you mix maida or you mix flour and you make a dough out of it, and then you bake it, and you mix either baking powder to it and baking soda, whatever you mix with it, and a little some yeast or something, so that whenever you bake it becomes spongy. So the cake is always spongy, soft and spongy. So she was doing this. And being faint with fasting, he was so hungry, he was so tired. The whole day he had not eaten anything. Yes, Ananya. So the whole day he had not eaten anything, and he was almost like he had not eaten, so it was just like a fast. For the day was almost done, and actually the day was over, and it was going to be night. He asked her for her store of cakes to give him a single one. So he, stands at the door. He sees that she is baking many small cakes. So he says, I'm very tired and my day is almost over, like it was getting night, and I'm very hungry. Can you give me one single piece of cake from the store that have so many cakes she was baking? So she made a very little cake, but as it baking lay, she looked at it and thought it seemed too large to give away. Now this lady, this little woman was a greedy woman. So when she made a small cake, she took small dough and then she tried to bake it. But when it was baking, in the procedure of baking when it was, she saw that it had very big, very spongy and very big and nice. So she thought that it was too large to give it away. She was so greedy. She felt she should not give this. Alright. So she felt, she was greedy, felt, oh, this is too big. I should not give this big one. So she did, Therefore, she kneaded another. She, made a new dough. What is knead? N-E-A-D. Knead is atta gundna, right? So here she was making this batter. So she made some batter and still a smaller one, but it looked when she turned it over as large as the first had done. So again she made a very small cake. Alright, and then she again baked it. It again became spongy and nice. So she felt, oh, this is again big. I cannot give this big one. I have to make the small one for this person. So she was so greedy. I know, Anand. I know. Right, you can tell the other children to also join. Then she took a tiny scrape of dough and rolled it flat and baked it thin as a wafer, and she couldn't part with that. So what she did, she was so greedy. She did not want to give. She had so many, she had baked so many, she could give one, But no, what she did, she took a tiny scrape of dough, very small, scrape of dough she took, and what did she do? She rolled it flat just like a wafer. She rolled it and baked it thin as a wafer, but she couldn't part with that. But she even could not part with that. She could not even give that. She was so greedy. For she said, my cakes that seem too small when I eat of them myself are yet too large to give away. So she put them on the shelf. Now she said, oh God, when I bake them for myself, such small, thing I take and I bake it, I feel that it is so very small. But when I bake it for someone else, it becomes so big and large. So she did not give it away. Then, Saint Peter was looking. That one she baked, she has kept that also. Another small one she has baked, she has kept that also. She needed one like a wafer. Even that she has kept and she's not giving it to me. He got angered. He was so hungry. Plus, he was preaching everybody about charity, about Christianity. And he felt, my God, this lady is so self-sufficient. She's got so many cakes. She can't part with one, can't give away one. So let us see what happens when he gets angry. Then good Saint Peter grew angry, for he was hungry and faint. He was feeling very weak. He was hungry. And surely such a woman was enough to provoke a saint. Now Saint Peter was a saint. He was teaching all moral values to people. And looking at such a person who was so greedy, she was enough, her actions were sufficient to make any saint angry. So this angered Saint Peter. What is she doing? And he said, what did he say? You are far too selfish to dwell humankind. Why? You are a human being. You should be thankful to God that He made you a human being. But you are so selfish to have both food and shelter. There are people who don't have food to eat. There are people who don't have a warm house to live in. You have got everything. God has given you everything. Be grateful to God and share a little of it. Right? So what did he say? To have both food and shelter and fire to keep you warm. You have food. You are baking so many cakes. You have shelter to live in. Right? And you can't, you have a fireplace where you're, baking your cake. You have a fireplace in this cold. This fireplace is keeping you warm. You are so lucky. Now you shall build. Saint Peter gets angry and then he curses this lady who was greedy. What did he say? And now you shall build as birds do and and shall get your scanty food. He said, the birds with such a great difficulty, they build their nests. It is so difficult for birds to live in this type of a weather, and they have such scanty food to eat, so less that they have got to eat. And how do they eat? Small grain particles they keep waiting for. So he says, now you shall build as birds do, and shall get your scanty food by boring and boring and boring all day in the hard dry wood. You must have seen my thumbnail, on top of that live thing that I have made a thumbnail, there is a woodpecker. So woodpecker is a bird who stays in this Northland area. She stays in this, cold weather, this bird, and how it makes its house, it keeps boring on the wood, the bark of the wood, and they keep boring like this with their beak. And what do they do? Why do they do this? Because they want to make a hole to live in. Plus, there are minute termites, worms or termites or bugs. That is their food, and that is what they eat, which they have to bore into the dark, into the hard wood, and then they get their food. All right. Now you shall build as birds do, and shall get your scanty food by boring and boring and boring all day in the hard dry wood. So he curses. What do you mean by curse? He gives a shrap. All right. Then she went through the chimney, never speaking a word, and out of the top flew a woodpecker, for she was changed to a bird. So what did she do? What happened to that lady? Just as he cursed, what happened? She was not able to speak a word. She couldn't react. She couldn't say anything or respond anything. At that time only, immediately she, flew up, and she turned into a woodpecker, and she flew out of the chimney of the house, transformed into a woodpecker. All right, she became a bird. She had a scarlet cap on her head, and that was left the same. So before, when she was baking those cakes, she was wearing a red scarlet color cap. So that remained the same, and if you notice, these birds, woodpeckers, have got some red thing over here. So that remained the same, but all the rest of her clothes were burned. Why burned? Because she flew into the chimney from where the smoke and all that go out. So her whole body was burnt, and she became black as coal in the flame. She became black, and she flew out as a woodpecker. And every country schoolboy has seen her in the wood. So when Poetic says that now there are so many people, so many children, so many boys who cross these woods, these forest areas, and they have seen woodpeckers over there where she lives in the trees till this very day, boring and boring on the hard dry wood for food. So Saint Peter became so angry that he transformed this greedy lady into a bird, so that she knows what is the value of having a house, having food, having warmth, the fireplace. And then also, if you cannot be grateful to God, and you cannot give a little from your fill, then you do not, you should not dwell in the human form. You have got this form. The bird has got it. She's a bird. She has to work so much for her survival. We should be grateful to God, isn't it? All right. Now let us quickly see the poetic devices. Now in the beginning we have first paragraph, away, away in the Northland. Away, away is repetition. Why does the poet use repetition? To stress on a point. All right. Here he wants to say that this place is very, very far away. He wants to tell this. Then in the fourth line, there is alliteration, that, they, them, through. TH, 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 TH. So in the first paragraph, we have the TH sound. Alright, here repetition, what have we used? Away, away. Alright, this was there, and here alliteration in the first paragraph was TH sound. Right? Now let us see the rhyme scheme of this paragraph. It is Northland, so Northland. We are doing rhyme scheme. It ends with land, so it is A. Then is few, right? Few is B. Winter is another sound, so it becomes C. And through. Through is matching with few, so it becomes B. So the rhyme scheme is A, B, C, B. Right? Okay. Then let us see the second paragraph for the poetic device. First line, they. No, there's not in the first line. Let us quickly see. Third line, look like, LL. So there is this, in the second paragraph, we have the L sound being repeated. And look like bear's cubs. So this is a comparison. Children of over there wearing the fur clothes are being compared to the baby bears, and baby bears, so it is a comparison, and whenever there is as or like used for comparison, that poetic device is simile. So here in the second paragraph, look like bears cubs. Alright, let's move on to the then again in the second paragraph only, fourth line, it is funny, furry. So F sound is being repeated. Right? Then again in the third paragraph, and the poetic device remains the same. So we have the regular poetic device. Reindeer, A. Snows, B. Cubs, C. Clothes and snows are almost same. So it is B. So the poetic device remains A, B, C, B. For the whole poem, so it is regular. Alright, third paragraph, again we have alliteration. They tell them. So again the sound is being repeated in the third paragraph. Then in the same paragraph, third line, learn, lesson. Learn, lesson, L is there. Alright. Then fourth line, if I tell the tale, tell, tale, T sound is there. So this is the T sound. Alright. Fourth paragraph, we do not have any poetic device. Yes, there is no poetic device in the fourth paragraph. Let us move on to the fifth. Again, we have alliteration. In the third line, we have where woman was. Where woman was. So W sound is being repeated. Alright. And then in the next line, again, we have them and the. So again, TH sound is being repeated. So this was of the fifth paragraph. Sixth paragraph, and being faint with fasting, F sound is being repeated. For the day was almost done, he asked her. Alright, her and he, her sound is being repeated. Alright, then let's move on to the next page. Yes, right, Lavanya is writing all of them. So she made a very little cake. Alright, in the seventh paragraph, we do not have any. Then we come to the eighth paragraph. Again in the second line we have still and smaller. So S sound is being repeated. Eighth paragraph. Alright. Then we come to the ninth paragraph. Ninth paragraph, T sound. Took, tiny. Alright. So T sound is being repeated. Rolled and rolled. Again repetition has come. Rolled and rolled. This is to stress on a point that she rolled it flat, you know. She made a very flat wafer type of a dough to make a cake, because she did not want to give a big piece of cake to Saint Peter. She was a greedy woman and she wanted to give a thin piece of cake. So she rolled and rolled. So repetition again is rolled and rolled. Alright? Right? Then we have in the ninth paragraph, same paragraph, rolled and rolled is repetition. Third line, thin as a wafer. Now the piece of dough that she was rolling was as thin as a wafer. So here we have again a simile. So here we have the simile, thin as a wafer. Right? Alright, next 10th paragraph. For she said, my cake that seemed too small, sirs, S sound, seemed small, S sound, right? Rhyming scheme is same. Then we move on. In the 11th paragraph, there is nothing. If I have missed any alliteration, you are intelligent enough. You know it is the consonant sound in the same line. Alright, then in the 13th paragraph, we have build and birds. So B sound is being repeated. Right? Then again we have boring and boring and boring. Boring sound has been repeated. Why? Because the woodpeckers actually, you know, they for making a shelter for themselves, they have to make a hole. So they bore on the bark of the, yes, they bore on the bark of the tree to make a hole, and also because for food, the little food that they eat, what is the food that they eat? The bugs and the termites. Alright, so it is boring and repetition again. Third repetition is boring word has been repeated. Alright, then 14th paragraph. Ritu, thank you so much. In the 14th paragraph, we have again TH sound being repeated in then and the, right? Then let's come to the end of the poem. In the 15th paragraph, second last paragraph, again we have a simile. We have black as coal. So when she came out transformed into a woodpecker, she became all black like coal. So we have another simile over here. One is look like bear cubs, thin as a wafer, and black as coal. So we have three similes here. And again in the last line we have boring and boring, which is again a repetition. We have already mentioned boring over here. Right? So these are the poetic devices. Yes, comparison using as and like. Yes, Tanishka. And I have done this poem. Anyone facing any problem, I am always a phone call away or a click away. You can even write in any of the comment section. Even if you have something old to ask, you can put it in any comment section, because in my portal it comes on the top whatever you are writing. And one more thing, there is a live class at 1 also today on the chapter Detectives 2, and in the evening we have a wow session, and today we will talk about the most educated and qualified man and politician of India, because usually politicians are not very educated. Alright, there are exceptions, but this person is the most educated person, and we should, as students, we should know. Yes, it is Shrikant Jijkar, and we'll talk about him at 7. Goodbye. Bye-bye.